Hello and welcome to episode 38 of the Old World Lives of Warhammer podcast. And we have been also planning on introducing a new kind of counting in this numbering system in this episode, and this is the I think 9th episode with Krell. Say hello, Krell.
Hey everyone. So the new calendar is AK, Anno Domini Krell. We only go 2 years back. Good to be back.
Yeah. And with us tonight we also have Niklas.
Hello. Yeah, it's nice. It's just not you and me this time, Chris. Not that I don't like just chatting with you, but it's nice to have some of the other members of the cast on, because remember, there's 5 of us.
At least so we have claimed in the past that there's 5 of us. We don't really know anymore, but there might be fewer, there might be more, but there's always nice to have a slight rotation of guests, so to speak.
A handful of Swedes.
Yeah,
I've heard consistent rumors. There's actually just 2 members and a very, very, very expensive sound degree.
Yeah.
We will neither deny or confirm that story.
The lag in your response actually confirms that.
that might or might not be fixed in editing. It might even be a longer one, just to add to the gravitas of the situation.
Oh, yes.
So, what have you been doing all this time, Krell?
I'll tell you what I haven't been doing. Fantasy, unfortunately. No, because I was moving and the dog ate my homework. No, I've actually been working on my Tomb Kings. Tell me if you've heard that one before. But I am closing up on the 3 chariots and I think 5 additional horsemen archers. And I finally got a decent metal. What's her name, Chris? I keep calling her Neferata, but that ain't the one.
Khalida.
Yeah.
Khalida.
Khalifa.
Yes, Mia Khalida. I finally got a decent model of that. Why are you laughing? Isn't that right? My search history says so.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you need a necrotect for your army?
Thank you very much, but wait, is that to do with whip?
Yep.
Our listeners can obviously hear how deep I've been in the lore of the Tomb Kings here. Is that the whip, dude? I think yes, I could actually.
There is one on Swedish eBay currently. I'm going to link it to you.
I'm going to check that out.
Psych! I thought Chris was going to be like, oh yeah, because I have one. No, you can go out there and fucking bid on it like everyone else.
Like a dog. And I'm going to check out. Oh, who has this out? Yeah. Oh, it's Chris. It's Chris.
Full disclosure, it's not mine. I just saw it while browsing, so I figured, who do I know that actually wants Tomb Kings? There's like 3 people I know that wants Tomb Kings. The rest of us are sensible people.
The rest of you are dogs. Don't talk shit about Nagash again. I will. You will taste my sandal by Petra.
Have you played with them yet, Krell?
Just one game before I actually moved. I think I played like 700 points 6th edition, so it was a very brief affair. But it was fun. I mean, there's a lot of shit talking about Tomb Kings in later editions, particularly if you ever play 8th, which you shouldn't in general. Just abstain from that entire drug of choice. But it was fun. I mean, I had a Scorpion and a Bone Giant in 700 points, so that's pretty much like, 35% of my army. But it was good times. I mean, swarms or troops. I have a lot of archers. I had like 1 Tomb King and 1 Tomb Prince. And a Magician. It's really fun. I mean, it's different from playing. It feels so weird feeling undead and they actually get to do something in the shooting phase. I'm so used to just like zoning out and thinking about Nagash's delicious hat. But here I got to like shoot. And someone's like, you only get to shoot BS2 without modifiers. I'm like, you fool. I get to finally roll dice. Yes. Yes.
It's pretty good though, like hitting on 5s all the time. That's not bad. Like,
and you can get them poisoned, right? If you use
Khalida. If you get Khalida. She is, however, I have realized, an exorbitant price cost. We're talking like Imric price cost. We're talking Dragon price cost.
So she's like 450 points.
Yeah, and she's not really a buff monster, and she's not really a fighter monster. But we'll talk in that in an upcoming Tomb Kings episode if we ever.
It's not that bad. Serena is 495.
Yeah, but she can do a lot of magic, and she doesn't. If she gets hit by a cinder by an open fireplace, she doesn't die and destroy your entire army.
Well, that's your problem for being embalmed. Stop embalming yourself.
Technically, stop embalming yourself. Stop embalming yourself. Stop it, Neferata. Stop and bomb yourself. Stop and bomb yourself. Oh my
There-
god, you're such a loser, Neffy.
There's a box with Warhammer Prince Imric High Elf Lord of Dragons High Elf's Old Hammer OOP on Swedway as well. The If Dead one. I think
I'm going to tell you how dire my financial situation is, and this is mostly facetious. I actually have a reminder on my cell phone every Monday and Friday which says you have enough fucking stuff to paint. And it's actually an effective enough deterrent that I don't buy as much things anymore. I just go into my wardrobe and look at the box named Warhammer Fantasy Project number 2, and then I open boxes 4 and 5 and 3.
Yeah, I'm currently the highest bidder on that one. I'm in the leading bid with a 4 kroner, so I think that's. I doubt it will settle for that, but it would be nice if it did.
Can we get a soundbite of Jimmy when he says, "Oh, Krell, nämen Krell," except he says Chris, man, Chris.
We might have to just have him on to do like a soundbite recording, I think.
Disappointed dad, Vav.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Chris, what have you been up to?
I have been, I've been painting a snake dragon thing.
Question: badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom.
Snake, it's a snake. Oh, it's a snake.
Niklas is like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it's before Niklas' time on the internet.
Yeah.
I know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it was the Golden Olis hour, right?
The good old days when you didn't watch those movies on YouTube. You watched them on like Newgrounds and shit.
Yeah, Weeble. Weeble was a webpage you had to go to.
Yeah.
Weeble and Bob.
That snake thing looks awesome, though, Chris.
It really does. Good job, Chris.
Yeah, it's been a bit upgraded since you guys saw it last as well. I'm almost finished. I'm working on the fins because I need a bit more gradient, and then it's pretty much done. So hopefully tomorrow, so it will be out before this recording. Probably.
You know what you need to watch out for when working with the Finns, right? That Russia tries to invade you in the wintertime.
Yeah, but they just freeze to death as usual. But I'm working on a High Elf Sea Patrol list from the Storm of Chaos book because for some reason I have enough Sea Guard, which is odd because I'm playing 6th edition mainly. And they're useless in 6th edition outside of this list.
Can I ask you a painting question about that sea snake?
Yeah.
I know you said earlier that you're working very intensely on a beautiful base, which, that thing looks dope as hell. Are you going to do water effects on the base?
Yep.
Since it's a water serpent? Oh, that's going to be cool.
Yeah,
I really look forward to seeing that.
I figured I need some kind of rippling because it's controlled by a mist mage, which I also have next to me. And I'm going to make out of the 6th ed, one of the Wood Elf spell singers, I think they're called.
I know people on occasion think I talk a lot of shit about Chris painting, but I'm a huge fan of Chris painting. I think it's amazing, and I really always enjoy seeing what you guys are up to. Even when I'm not here, I'm always watching.
You mean all of those 3 models I paint a year?
You know how they say like quantity is a quality all of its own? That's what I run on. You run on quality is quality on its own.
I'm also pretty much finished building. I need to prime my Lord with magic bow on Griffin.
Oh, cool.
He's going to use the bow of the Seafarer, which is basically a bolt thrower.
Is that Finnebar's own bow, or?
I think it's a reference to Finnebar, even it's called the Seafarer, but I don't think it is. I think it's mainly used by the fleet captains.
Because I seem to remember it used to be an item that was more or less actually Finnebar's weapon that he just gave to some captain, like, hey, you're in charge now, use this.
It might be. It might be.
Hey, you know better than me. Just a question. It's elf stuff. I have no idea.
I was a bit split if I'm going to put my Lord on a Griffin, but the Griffin looks really cool. I got using the Island of Blood one, and it's a really cool model. It was either that
overrated.
Yeah, it was either that to put him in a shadow armor, so he can join a unit of shadow warriors and have him stealth and sneak and just get behind enemy lines with a bolt thrower.
Whispering, nothing personal, kid.
Yeah, pretty much. Might do one on foot as well, just to have him for future endeavors, so to speak.
Sounds really cool.
Also, if the Griffin gets killed, it's nice to have a foot model.
Yeah. I might as well just build him. That's pretty much it. I've been painting a bit. As I said, the sea snake is almost done. It needs the fins and then some of the reds to work better.
You're painting these things up for an event you're going to, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm planning to. At least there's an event in the beginning of October in I would say it's the north of Sweden. They would probably say it isn't the north of Sweden, but
Well, they are filthy liars who barely comprehend geography. Thusly, they live in the north.
it is 6.5 hours by train north of where I live, so it's in the north of Sweden for me.
It's so far in the north that when Rob Stark was declared king of the north, those guys were like, "That's too fucking soft." That's how goddamn north it is. They got ice giants up there.
Yeah, it's like when you look at the map, it's more towards the center, I guess.
Niklas, we keep telling you, stop defending the north people. They can defend themselves.
All 8 of them.
Yeah, all 8 per capita. I wonder if my shit talking of the north is connected to why I keep finding double-headed axes in my door all the time.
Probably.
Because they can't write letters like normal people.
Just as likely to be people of the south, though.
Anyway, I have been building a sea guard list. Which is nice, because there's a lord on a griffin, there's a mage, there's the mereworm, which is a snake. I would have liked to have the Forgeworld mereworm, but it is quite hard to get hold of, given that they've discontinued it like 3 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, and you actually enjoy using your kidneys.
Yeah, they still have use for me, so to speak.
I really like the mereworm you got. And also, like, these kind of creatures, there's so many different creatures living in the sea.
Yeah.
So it's very plausible that they just rounded up another.
Yeah, this one is the Mantic Trident Realm Knocker, or something like that. And it looks way more like how the sea dragons are described in the books.
Yeah.
Like snake bodies.
Once in a blue moon, Mantic makes really good miniatures.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, Niklas, that's dangerously close to you giving them an endorsement, dude.
Yeah. Next thing you're gonna see on the internet is Niklas is a Mantic shill.
No, the next thing we're gonna see Niklas is Niklas publishing items on spiky bits.
Publishing my newly painted Mantic Dwarf army.
Yeah, and just saying how you can crush everyone with it.
Yeah, but enough about my high elves. I got at least 2,500 points where I want to play with them that much, and maybe I should bring them to Stockholm sometime, like a smaller force, and we could have a game.
Yeah, that would be fun. And Niklas can come here too, and I can show him electricity and fire.
Speaking of Niklas, what have you been doing in the hobby lately?
So I got back to Sweden recently, and I've managed to get a fantasy game in. I went down to Gothenburg to meet Morten and Manfred and a friend of theirs, and we played like a big double game, 2,000 point per player, so 8,000 points in total of 8th edition. So I tried out the army project Kaslov list.
And how did you find it?
I mean, so many special rules to keep track of, and yeah, I mean, it's 8th edition. It's not a huge fan in general. Some cool parts. And in the end, it's like you're doing the same thing. You're smashing your models together. But it felt like a lot of things felt a bit strange, especially having like a cavalry army. It's very different from what cavalry does in 6th edition.
But can I ask a question?
Yeah, you may.
Did you have fun playing fantasy with your friends?
Yeah, it's great.
Well, that's a great thing. That's a unifier then. I'm
it's
happy.
It's really funny because we're playing at a Morten's workplace, and they just have like this conference room where they just bring out like things that they stash in all these other small rooms, and then they had like this massive 8x4 table, and it's awesome. Their terrain is awesome. They have really cool armies, and it's really cool.
That's amazing because you were literally masking at his work. Ni maskade på hans jobb. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
It was during the weekend though. So.
Yeah, but I mean, he works with maskar, so that's why it's so funny.
Yeah, you posted some nice photos in the group chat for us to see.
I got mad jealous, Niklas. That looked really fun.
Yeah, I should post them on Instagram actually.
Yeah. You should, and I bet Jimmy will as well, given what he's doing today and yesterday.
Yeah, he's out for a fantasy weekend.
Oh, I heard he's dancing for money on tables in Stockholm. He's not here to disprove me, is he?
Yeah. You're projecting again, aren't you?
Maybe. I can't fit on the tables anymore.
I'd have to reinforce them, right?
Yeah, adamantine bonds. No, but Jimmy's away having a great weekend, a 2-day of fantasy battles, and it sounds really
poor
fun.
Poor thing.
Yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with him.
Yeah. So yeah, I've gotten back to this town that I used to live in as well, and trying to build some hype for 6th edition. So there are a couple of guys that were playing 8th edition that I'm going to introduce 6th, and then there's some other guys that are either haven't played fantasy before or returning to fantasy. So we're gonna start playing some Combat Patrol, I think.
Nice. Yeah, but you live in a quite centrally located place where there's lots of communities around as well. So hopefully someone is able to play a proper version of the game, so to speak.
It turns out that a couple of guys from my Necromunda group, who actually played today, sorry I couldn't be there, dudes, are super interested in starting up 6th edition, because that was the edition they played when they were younger as well. But obviously, you know, the tale is old as time. They sold it off to like date their girlfriends at the time, or like their parents threw it out, or gave it away for 10 kroners at a loppis, a yard sale. So they seem kind of interested in testing 6th edition. So we're going to look at doing some Combat Patrol, maybe 500 points armies.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point to start at.
It is.
I've never gotten that selling all your stuff just because you're dating. Why not just keep it and date anyway?
I never got the whole thing about dating, but hey, that's just me. I am above such concerns.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing Dark Elves, this Combat Patrol thing.
Okay, so our friendship's just over. Okay, nice.
Yeah, I heard something that you're getting Corsairs and Bolt Throwers and stuff like that.
Yeah, from some shady dude up north.
Yeah.
You know what? Could you actually be the dude on this podcast who does a Cult of Slaanesh army? Because Chris doesn't seem like he's going to do it.
No. I don't know. I'm not that big into the Cult of Slaanesh.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you're getting a Dark Elf army going, you could just add like a start collecting box and paint it Slaanesh-y, and you're done.
True. Think of it like the more I look at Dark Elves, the more I realize that there are so many different armies you can build from this army list. So many themes.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's going to be an army that I can keep expanding on, really.
Yeah, I'm going to defer to Chris here because he feels a bit like a Dark Elf expert. But Dark Shards, like the crossbow dudes, are a great basis for any army, right?
You mean crossbowmen?
Yeah.
The words with crossbows that is in 6th edition.
I've been playing Warhammer Fantasy, Total War. I apologize for nothing.
They, I don't know, they seem like the basis of any boring army.
Yeah, but it depends. You can't.
Damn!
They are quite. They're a unit that you use to whittle down chaff, basically, because they're not that powerful because they have light crossbows, pretty much. That fires more shots. But they are good, just having standing around firing stuff. They're like archers in the high elf list. You can take a unit of them, but you don't have to take all of them, so to speak.
I think the Dark Riders are a great basis for any list. Like light cavalry as core. It's awesome. And then you can just build whatever list around, but you can always use light cavalry.
Yeah, there are alternate lists for the Dark Elf book as well. You have the Watchtower Patrol list in the book, and then you have the
City Guard
from the White War / one of the Chronicles, I think it is in as well. And those are a great alternate list. The City Guard can be a bit boring, given that you just pretty much have a City Guard and Bolt Throwers and then chaff to fill out your army and have something heavy hitting. But having spearmen with crossbows is pretty great, as I think people can understand.
Yeah. Just have to go and grab my Storm of Chaos now. Look at it. Yeah, I think that unit's just so cool. Like the crossbowman and spearman. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really easy to make as well if you're using plastics. The 6th edition plastic, you can make one because you need like 2 or 3 models with actual crossbows put in the front of a regular spearman unit, and it's a City Guard unit.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe the comparison is a bit odd to you guys, but to me it feels a bit like the Gors and Ungors. You have to like mix it up, and you have to have a certain amount of them like in the front rank.
Yeah, but I mean, there's the advantage of having like a ranged unit that can also fight in close combat.
Yeah, you can only fire, you usually, depending on stand on hill or not, from the front rank anyway. And everyone else after that are carrying spears and shields, which is quite nice.
I'll have you know that Ungors can do both of the things, neither of them well.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I think Ungors might be one of the shittiest units in the games from experience.
Did I mention what I'm going to use as the Mist Mages in Sea Patrol list can use special spells, or have to use special spells instead of regular high magic spells. And they have a spell where they basically summon a siren that lures enemy units to attack them first, or approach them first. And did I mention what I'm going to use as a siren?
No.
The crab from the Idonet Deepkin Underworld's box.
So good.
Yeah. I figured it is a magic spell. It doesn't have to make sense.
Chris and the Crab, the greatest love story never told.
Yeah.
You were so happy of that model, like since day one. I think you've earned it.
Yeah, we're also gonna paint the fish from that box up as a Magikarp for all those that actually know anything about what is like first-gen Pokemon. I don't know shit about them, but that's just
Isn't that
me.
a Digimon?
I don't know the difference. One is
It's the
monster.
thing. It's the thing that turns into your sea snake.
Yeah, it is.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's the unevolved form that is flapping around. There is one in the. Isn't there one in the Pokemon film with Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and there's the evolved version as well. Like just
having a
lost monster.
6-year-old, I could tell you pretty much anything about anything that's about Pokemon on Netflix. I know so many things.
Fair
I've
enough.
seen things man was not meant to know. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
You've seen attack ships on fire.
I have seen Machamps glistening in the fire from a Charizard's magnificent breath.
Oh, speaking about
I have seen a sea star fighting Executor on the plains of Tora. All these moments, like Master Balls thrown at anything except for a Mewtwo. Laugh now. Time to try and sleep while my son at me.
I thought we were going back to Weeble and Bob stuff here, and you have I've seen things. I've seen them with my eyes. I've seen things that are often in the skies.
But you saw the Kuala Lumpur. Well, you know what they say about Kenya, right?
I can't remember.
What happened in Kenya? Only in Kenya. Got lions and tigers only in Kenya.
Yeah,
Can you believe it?
Yeah. Yeah, those were the mid-20s, right? Whatever it would be by now. No, at least early 20s for us.
No, I think I was like a teenager when that came out. You
I
must
think
have been.
Wasn't we like 19 or something? 20?
No. I would have been like 17 or 16 when Weeble and Bob was big. But maybe we're digressing a bit. Chris, what's in the news?
Birds.
Yeah. Category Weeble and Bob. They really happen as a Weeble and sometimes Weeble's friend Bob. Pie.
Pie.
When come back, bring pie. Original release June 6th, 2002 was the first episode of Weeble and Bob.
Yeah, so I was 16.
Yeah.
All right, enough of Weeble and Bob.
No! Yeah, okay.
Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Weeble and Bob podcast, Chris.
So what's new?
Yeah, what's new? Well, there's a new season of Warhammer Underworlds coming.
Yeah, I still don't know how that works.
I have no idea. I'm just using the boxes for character models and crabs, obviously. But there's a quite nice set of swamp orcs in this set. I have like man catchers and chains and stuff like that, and a stabbing. I can't say that.
A stabbing grot.
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Yeah, but they have a nice set of characters if you are going to use the Cruel Boys as orcs, which you could if you give them like a swampy theme because they look a bit different than the mountain orcs and stuff like that.
Yeah, they look like haggard, worn out. I could believe these guys are like ravaged by disease and living in a swamp.
Yeah, or I reckon they don't look exactly the same if they come from Lustria or they come from the Southlands or they come from.
They look more like the old, like 3rd edition artwork of orcs, I think.
Yeah.
I really like them.
They look a bit like the old, like super old Mithril cast Lord of the Rings models for orcs.
Yeah, they kind of look a bit like the current range of orcs for Lord of the Rings as well. But
I said this before we started recording, and like I still think that swamp orc sounds like a slur that somebody yells at me in London at 2 a.m. in the morning in like a fish shop.
Yeah, but I can say they come in the new starter set, those orcs, and they also have some Stormcast there. And I reckon that if you shave them a bit, like shave off the obvious Stormcast bits of them, you could actually use them for some kind of skirmish game. But with that said, they are quite a lot bigger than fantasy miniatures. But they can be made to work if everything is on the same scale, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit for my Escape from Goblin Town box.
And there's a bird in that box. So that's probably the ultimate foe for the crab.
This shall be our greatest battle.
Yeah. They're the new characters for the next Arena Mortis, which is basically the bring forth your own champion version of Underworlds. So you're going to have like a box and you get the bird and the crab and they have to fight it out.
This is a good point, but I really want to hear from our Age of Sigmar correspondent, Niklas. Niklas, What do you think about this box?
I have no interest whatsoever in Age of Sigmar anymore. Not even for reference of complaints, because I just don't care anymore. It's like I care as much about Age of Sigmar as I do about Infinity now.
Oh, have you seen the new Infinity models, Krell?
You mean the new Necromunda models?
I would rather actually say the other way around, given that one is an obvious rip-off of the others. But did you see the one I posted in chat earlier?
Oh yeah, you mean like the guy who would probably look pretty good as Vansar?
Or is it a Vansar?
No, it actually isn't. It is a model from Warcaster, the sci-fi skirmish game from Private Press, and it's been out for quite a while.
Oh, geez, Chris, you really got me there.
But it could be a Vansar, which is the interesting thing.
I don't know. I mean, about Infinity, I haven't looked into it. I've been sort of keen on starting up on it, and also it has one of the few Tagalog, like Filipino units for science fiction wargaming ever, so I feel kind of compelled to give it a swing. I don't know why, but that means something to me at least. At least they're trying to include something.
I know that we have been talking about getting in on a starter box sometime, you and me, for the last 2.5 years or something. So maybe if we both feel like we have the money to spare sometime in the future, like a Black Friday sale or something.
I'm starting to wonder if I have the money to spare, maybe I should just hire a painter, like archivist or something from all my hobby.
Nah.
Poor dude would probably kill himself for the end of the first day. Or girl. Poor dude or girl. Hashtag feminism.
Just poor person.
Should we talk about the major reveal about fantasy that actually affects us?
There are some Krell boys that you could use in fantasy before that.
Okay.
One is a pretty cool ballista that would look really cool in a siege setting.
Yeah.
The Beast Skewer Killbow, or as you say, just call it a ballista, which is easier, or spear shaka or something.
Why use an easier term when a harder one is there just to use?
Yeah, pretty much. But it is quite cool. It could easily be put on a square base and used. It got a big orc and a few goblins manning it.
Are these guys orcs or orcs? I can't keep up.
As it concerns us, it's orcs.
Okay.
Is it? Are they called swamp orcs, or are they orcs, and are they the same race?
They're in the same book. That's all I know. But I think they're called orcs for legal reasons. But they also have a orc riding a troll, which is interesting.
Yes.
But it's quite cool, actually, the orc riding a troll.
I saw a really good meme picture earlier today where somebody put the face of Dobby on that guy.
No, this is actually one that's riding a regular troll, not the crawling thing with a hard on the back. It's just an orc sitting on a troll.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have like a swamp lord. Yeah, I think you can call them, actually, be fair to call them swamp orcs when they got a character they called Swamp Boss Scumdrack.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's the one that's ride on a swamp monster. I'm not sure what you can use that for. And then there's the one that you mentioned, the Dobby one, which is... do you want to give a shout out for that one?
I think I do, actually. I think Gaming Maniacs put that up on their homepage. I'm a huge fan of their stuff, actually. I really like their page.
Yeah.
They always, if you pre-book with them, you always get your stuff on time, which I know it shouldn't be an issue right now, but sometimes there's some people getting shafted by GW. But Game Maniacs, they always keep their promises and standards. That actually means a lot to me as an almost 40-year-old man.
Also, the other version you can build of that is the Marsh Crawler Slogoth, which is the Dobby version.
Dobby is free, Harry Potter. Dobby is free to crush things.
Yeah. But now for the actually important one, which is the regular orc set that was in Dominion, is now out as a multi-part plastic kit, the Gut Rippers. And I know that at least one of us have mentioned that maybe this multi-part kit can be used for orc warbands for more time.
Yeah.
And that one isn't me.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, and that you have the terrain kits that are also released, but we have discussed those before, and we have split opinions on those.
Much ink has been spilled on the matter at hand.
Oh no, I've been outbid.
No, your substantial investment of $0.25.
Oh no, I'm not the top bidder. I bid 9 kroners, and I'm not the top bidder. Curse you, deal, Shadow Wolf. Yeah, but there's one more before we go on to the actual interesting news, and that is quote, the skies darken and choking mist roll in as Gobsprak yells no at enemy wizards and said kill a beak, his corpse rip of vulture to feast on fresh carrion, end quote. And about half of these words are just new. They have no...
Just copyrighted ones.
Yeah, pretty much. But at least they don't have, as the Lord of the Rings one have, that they have to say like Treebeard TM.
Yeah.
For everything.
Niklas, you've been to England. I obviously assume that you've been to the same pub as everybody who works at Games Workshop. Could you just give them my contact info so they can get some proper damn names?
You can try.
I have very affordable rates.
Yeah, to be fair, you would just call everything like Stabby Bird and Shoot the Git and stuff like that.
Yes, and wouldn't that be a bit more honest and in theme with the orcs, if you think about it?
But I've heard people wanting to use, because this one has either like a boss or a shaman to mount on it. And I've heard people that say they could use it like a wyvern instead of the old Asag model.
Yeah, I can see it happening. That would actually look pretty cool.
Yeah.
You'd have to remove every trace of the new orcs, but yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I heard another suggestion to use it as the Flying Nightmare.
Yeah, the Nightmare.
That's a good idea.
I would actually say that if you were going for a theme with having the Cruel Boys as archers and spearmen and stuff like that, or just regular orc boys, and just run with it as an entire army, which would probably work. Just say that they're from the south or something like that. Then you could probably just use this as is, just to paint it up in a less Age of Sigmar paint job.
And like a wyvern isn't that strong stat-wise, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense for it to have 2 attacks.
Yeah, I think I am currently using like a wingless Praeton for my Blood Dragon. I think this could actually be a pretty decent alternative if I want to have 2. I mean, the Winged Nightmare is prohibitively expensive, but if I ever went for a big game of 6 and I want to have 2, this would probably be a really good idea, Niklas. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so this is actually, I think we all just, when we saw this model being on the preview and we just discussed it in the group chat, and it was, that could work for different things. And we had like a list of 8 different things that we narrowed down to what it could actually be.
Yeah, I stopped being bellicose and drunkenly and just looked at it and went like, yeah, no, that's okay. I can live with that.
It's the one-headed Lord of Change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a good model. You have to give them credit for that.
To quote Omar from The Wire recently passed, yeah, I ain't mad about that.
Never seen The Wire, but moving on to the main thing, why we tried to record on like Thursday, and we were shut. That idea was shut down quite quickly, given that we didn't have any ability to record after 40 minutes of tech problems. But who wants to introduce something big that's been revealed?
I want Niklas to do it.
China.
Thank you, Niklas. Now back to main program.
Fair enough.
China.
Yeah, Cathay. It's been revealed for Warhammer Total War 3. And it means like it's not just a reveal for that game. It's also revealed for Warhammer in general, and also for Warhammer the Old World game that's coming out. It's huge. Huge.
Indeed.
And
so
it's like it's such a big thing that it's hard to like even take in, because Cathay has been mentioned throughout the history of Warhammer for so long, but you've never seen it. So it's like
not even in War Master.
Yeah.
The only thing you've seen before are like 1 or 2 snippets in a book somewhere, pretty much. Like this ship stranded in Cathay and everyone was eaten by dragons and stuff like that.
Yeah, I had to go back and check, but the only reference I've got, because I think among us, I'm the one person who've read like the least amount of Warhammer Fantasy Battle novels. The only reference I had was in the Genevieve books. She goes from being like a humble vampire Jeanne d'Arc stereotype to being a humble kung fu master wielding badass ninja Jeanne d'Arc stereotype. And she goes to Cathay for a chapter and a half just to learn, martial arts.
Yeah, that was a training montage in that book.
Yeah.
Did she
for no
interact
reason.
with someone from Cathay?
Yes, and they were stereotypically Japanese. They even spoke in haikus. And of course, they taught her a super useful breathing skill, breathing with her mouth, not. vampire stuff, so she could get out of a trap placed later on. But yeah, that's like the only reference I could readily come up with. But again, I am the least read in Warhammer Fantasy novels from us.
Because Cathay has been mentioned in a few places here and there. The thing about it is that it's never been described from their point of view, like ever.
No.
You have never really read a source from them. It's always like observed from the viewpoint of like already existing fantasy factions, mostly the Empire.
Which is
Yeah.
nicely Anglo-centric.
Well, there's also mention of them in like Ogre Kingdoms that they have some kind of trade or guarding the trade routes and stuff like that. And they have in the Skaven books when they mention, the Clanation is from Cathay. That's
Yeah.
it, pretty much.
There's
Yeah.
a ninja man-eater, right?
Yeah.
Like a model.
An Ogre Ninja Man-Eater.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny because I went back and checked, and initially Cathay was just like an amalgamation, of course, of like, pre-Qing era dynasty China and Japan. And I was actually informed that the Nippon part of Warhammer Fantasy Battles was always geographically there, but it's just like expounded as Fantasy Japan later on. Initially, basically, Cathay was everything that had to do with Southeast Asia in the fantasy setting. Which is kind of funny because, as you guys probably know, Cathay was something that you used to call the Orient way back in like 1600s, before the era it was an East Indian Federation trade organization.
Yeah, it's also one of the older names that we use for China in most of Europe.
Yeah.
Regardless of language, pretty much.
Which is pretty interesting. But I'm pumped. Like, I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
And I saw the trailer, and my first sort of like cynical thought was, oh, they're reusing the Free Kingdoms assets, which stung with me a bit because I'm actually a huge fan of the Free Kingdoms, both the books and like the old 90s series and Dynasty Warriors. So when they stopped supporting, and with them I mean Creative Assembly, not Games Workshop, I was a bit sad because they're going to release a lot of DLC, and they had a lot of assets still to be released. And cynically, I'm going to assume that they're saving them up for this. So I went into the comments, and it was just some dude wrote, "Oh, why are you guys like pandering to China and inserting a lot of like Southeast Asian stuff into my lovable English quaint fairy old England fantasy?" And I was like, this man needs to be eviscerated with the mind races of my genius brain. And then I read the comments, and people were just like, stop being a dick, dude. Cathay's always been there. It's an integral part of it. We just haven't worked on it.
When you see like references for how far back it goes, it's like the Battle Bestiary for Warhammer Army's 2nd edition and Warhammer Army's 3rd edition, which is not in 2021, so to speak.
It was before the Dragon of
weekend, by the way. I actually met someone that worked for Creative Assembly and spoke to him about it, and it seems like it's not that lucrative of a market because like it's really hard to get into the market in China, and like they were not even sure if the game was going to be like approved. And apparently there's a new law in China as well that you can't play video games for more than like a couple of hours each weekend.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and it's for kids, I think, that they're not allowed to play for more than 3 hours a week, which has tanked the large gaming companies that are China owned.
Don't crucify me about this, but I think it's students, so it might be up to 20.
And he also said that like if they buy games, they're gonna buy like either like illegal copies or like codes from Russia.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Like they don't have to like fucking pander to China that much.
No, there's never an issue.
And also, like in China, it's hard to get the game approved if you have like undead in it, because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
You can't have undead and spirits and shit.
And I'm thinking, what better way than introducing one of the smaller, barely heard of factions in Warhammer lore than a Total War game, where you can just go nuts in one go and just have all of it in there. And you don't have to sink thousands and in both hours and in production costs in just producing miniatures.
Do you guys know the story of why we got Araby and War Master and we never got Cathay?
No.
Okay, me neither. I was
Well,
hoping
it's
you guys
closer,
did.
right?
Yeah, I think so. It's also because Araby was sort of soft prepared for a launch into this. I actually know they were supposed, like rumor-wise, to get a book in combination with like the Bretonia release, because remember in the 6th edition Bretonia, there's like this huge part about the Crusades into Araby.
Yeah.
with if I remember correctly, Jafar the Cruel being their opponent, which is hilarious. And they sort of scrapped that idea, but the idea was that basically the War Master range was supposed to serve as like a small idea model, and then they never went through with the Araby, so they just released this War Master. I'm gonna assume that the fact that War Master didn't really take off led into them not doing Cathay as well. Again, that's conjecture though. I have no proof whatsoever. Because I mean, the Araby range is pretty decent.
Yeah,
for
but
War
I think we
Master
could
standard.
also see how little support War Master had after a while. It
Yeah.
was one of the first specialist games of that era to be pretty much discontinued.
It's kind of strange because I have a lot of friends who like espouse the virtues of every specialist game, but I don't really know anyone who speaks well about War Master. Not because I think it's a bad game. Maybe it
Well,
never picked
I've
up
heard
as
that War Master is like the best game His Worship ever made.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
everything I've ever heard of it.
It's a good game. It's a bit maybe not as easy to play as some of them either.
Okay.
But I think it was also that it might have just been released in the wrong time slot, so to speak, and not many people being able to pick it up because there are other more interesting things to buy or something like that. Or as we have talked about earlier in this podcast, maybe it was the era where a lot of those who come back to 6th edition now went off to 8th and have lives.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like the eternal 40k fantasy paradigm, right? Like, do you go into Epic or do you go into War Master? Do you go into Battlefleet Gothic or do you go into like the fantasy ship game, Man of War? Is it Man of War?
Yeah.
It's like the
Okay,
eternal
well,
paradigm.
to go back to the topic at hand, Cathay. It's really cool. I really like the units. They're very like different.
Yeah.
Like they're very like high fantasy a bit. And then like when you see the big shots of like these floating islands and stuff, it's very like fantastical.
Yeah.
But I think it's really cool because it's like such a fantasy version of what you would imagine China.
I don't know when we're going to get this episode out, but I want to be one of the first people to say, oh my God, Cathay's gunpowder units is so fucking up. God damn it. I keep getting beaten by them all the time. Learn to get good.
I was thinking at the latest Sunday this week, but fair enough. I can postpone it until March next year if you want.
Why? No, but I agree with Niklas. You have the Quan Ji. You have like the elemental warriors of classic China myth. Confusion is magic. You have, of course, like the tigers, the Shenlongs. I think I saw Quirin, which is like a strange horse. Like it's like a horse dragon thing. And of course, we saw like the stone guardian tigers as well. All fantastical parts grounded in Chinese mythology. I also saw.
Those are called the terracotta sentinels, the large stone golems.
Okay. No, I didn't mean those. I meant like the dog-faced tiger thing. You know, we call them Chinese lions, but they're not really lions. They're more like
I thought you mentioned the statues. That was what I mentioned. What they were called.
Yeah, I thought of those. I thought of those as local flavored ushabti. But yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing, like I saw people saying that it doesn't really look Warhammer, and it looks very like generic fantasy-ish. But the thing is, like, they have a great disadvantage, I think, by being released as a video game first and not having the luxury of having endless of years of, like, really cool artwork and models and stuff that, like, the video game will represent. Because when you play Total War, if you actually zoom in and look at the units, they look like a bit lackluster, I think. Like, if you zoom in, like, on a Dwarf Warrior, that's not how I imagine a Dwarf Warrior to look. And I don't even imagine how, like, the models of most dwarf models then they like dwarf warriors. They don't really look like I imagine them. They look like the cover of the army books. That's how I imagine dwarf warrior to look like. But then I just like have to make it up in my mind when I play Warhammer Fantasy that these guys represent my idea of a dwarf warrior. And when I play the Total War game, like I have to imagine that they represent what I imagine them to look like, even though if they don't look like that. And having Cathay released in a video game format first, it's harsh. Like it's harsh to not have the basis of artwork and shit.
Yeah, and they don't have like the rabid fan base because I like to play Beastmen, but objectively seen for a long time, the Beastmen were shit in the game, but I still play them. Because like you said, everybody has their detractors, but only like the fan stereotype supporters would really stand by them. Cathay is being released in a video game, so I agree completely, Niklas. They don't really have that people. They don't have the people who used to play with them and like build and paint them and will support them. I also saw
Yeah.
some criticism about people being like, "Oh, of course there's going to be another female leader." And again, that guy was just cut down viciously. Strong female leaders have always been a thing in fantasy, dude. And I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of the leaders of Cathay, they did a conscious choice that we can read in both the Total War blog and the Warhammer community post about it, that they did a conscious choice to not include the actual leaders of the faction.
Yeah.
I hope they're going to go with like some sort of analog to the Jade Emperor idea. I don't know if you guys are
Yeah.
like super read into Chinese mythology and Confucianism and stuff, but basically the idea of a Jade Emperor is an immortal magical emperor who is one with the land, sort of like the Forian legend of the Fisher King.
Have you read the blog post from Total War?
No, I probably should instead of running my mouth, but hey.
Well, it's just gonna quote it here, and that is, the question is, all right, but what about Celestial Dragon Emperor and his wife, the Moon Empress? Fair question. Yes, the Celestial Dragon Emperor still rules over Grand Cathay. He spends his time in the Celestial City above Wei Jin, contemplating the destiny of the Empire with his wife, the equally revered Moon Empress. They are the true power couple of the Warhammer world, older than most of the gods, for they existed when the planet was colder, before even the old ones came and pulled it closer to the sun.
You know, that's really funny because it ties into like the divinity of Sun Wukong and other gods in like Chinese mythology. So I'm way behind that.
Yeah.
Like the moon goddess being this emphatic mother figure who actually breathes life in the creation created by the Dragon Emperor. It sounds dope as fuck, dude.
Yeah, and that is because that's why they decided not to bring them onto the battlefield, because they would be too powerful. As
How beta do the High Elf dragons look now?
Yeah, but these are some kind of magical dragon that can turn into a human.
You and the tells you not to worry about, Niklas.
I've seen so many memes with Imrik moving to Cathay these past days.
Yeah, it's
But
like
it is,
that. It's like
there-
Anakin meme. Hey,
yeah.
I could totally get on top of that dragon. Oh, to ride into battle, right? To ride
Yeah.
into battle, right?
Exactly. But then they mentioned that the Cathay's legendary lords is their children. So because they can't have the emperor and his wife as the leaders, because they're pretty much as playing as Korn or Nurgle on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Instead,
I'm deploying my First World War tank regiment. I'm deploying my First World War infantry regiment. I'm deploying my nuclear corps from 1980. What?
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna bomb the planet from orbit.
Yeah, I win again.
Yeah, so they have they're fighting over the Great Bastion, which is the fortress city that lies on the border between Cathay and the Chaos Wastes. So they have a pretty much permanent garrison, so they have hardened troops, and I would have loved for this to be in Warhammer back in 6th edition.
Okay, so real talk. What did you guys think about siege models as well?
They're Chaos Warriors on discs.
Yes, I also saw the Ogroid Farmaforge dude from like the Silver Tower re-release.
Yeah, and the other Minotaur was there as well, I think.
Yeah, the fighty one.
Yeah.
I also like the when they wrote that like it would be their children, but their children are also like rivals of it. So
Yeah.
probably there will be like different factions like the Empire, and that they will. I really like that they're flawed. Like, of course, they shouldn't just be the best of the best, because then they would have conquered the world. They need to have like some kind of issues.
Yeah, I think it's the one we saw in the trailer and her brother, the Iron Dragon or something like that.
Did you guys? Did either one of you ever buy Total War Three Kingdoms?
No.
Okay. Because one of the scenarios was basically about the dude who wins the War of Three Kingdoms. He has like 5 sons who are princes. And basically, it's like each and every one of them is a super powerful mini emperor, but their biggest problem is that they're assholes to one another. So I imagine it's going to be a bit same like that, a bit like Hag Graef and like the Dark Elf provinces. That yes, we don't hate each other just as much as we hate everyone else, but we really hate each other as well. So I think you're on something there, Niklas.
The other one, let's see, the first one that we saw in the trailer, it was Mao Jing, Supreme Matriarch of Nangao, ruler of the northern provinces. And then we have Chao Ming, her brother. He's the Iron Dragon, ruler of the western provinces of Grand Cathay, which is pretty much the area that borders the Mountains of Morn.
Yeah, the area where Sail the Faithless attacked in Tamarkan as well.
Oh yeah,
It's a really cool little segment.
Yeah, that's
I think people if people think that the things that they showed in this trailer is like outrageous, just read that text and you'll see that it's basically exactly what they described there.
Just read the Tamurkan book, you mean, and you see that it's the Warhammer that's toned down.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm going to sound like a negative Nancy here, but if you think that the stuff you see in Total War was outrageous, then obviously you've only encountered Warhammer Fantasy battles in regards to the models that are actually released. If you read like the old army books, or if you read the greater universe books, like the expanded universe, there's so much insane shit in there that never officially got a model that they aren't even scraping the surface, son. There's like a dragon made out of 1 million worms. Each and every one of them hates one another, but they still conspire to eat the biggest broodmother of Skavens ever.
Yeah.
There's a wizard made out of a mountain of flesh. I mean, don't tell me that it's too weird or out there for you, because I mean,
But
pick up a book.
Just read the stories about the origins of the Skaven when they were building the tower, well, the equivalent of the Tower of Babylon.
Yeah,
in the swamps.
Totally not Tower of Babel.
No. And just that story, or the stories of the Sky Titans that were there before the giants and the ogres. The ogres managed to kill.
That city that Malekith visited, like in the Chaos Waste, is just like a different civilization.
Yeah, which is pretty much the civilization that's now the Osiark Bone Reapers in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, just look in the parts when the lizard men used to hang out with the Amazons who had laser weapons. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's too weird.
Or all of this
went into like the hallway of the warp.
Yeah, the Stargates on Albion.
Yeah.
Or like check out the Realm of Chaos when you could actually just legit win a bolt gun.
All of the Storm of Chaos campaign rewards, you mean, which is a power sword, a lightning claw, a power fist, a set of power armor, an Auspex scanner, a flamer.
I reread the Albion campaign book, and I'm pretty sure you can get a refractor field in there.
Yeah, right. I was talking about the Albion, and
Oh,
I think it's the power sword, the lightning claw, the power fist, the power armor, the Auspex scanner, the flamer, and stuff like that. It is ridiculous.
Have you seen like the old Kurt Russell Stargate movie?
Yeah.
You remember when, like, these ignorant sheep herders, they pick up like O'Neill's pistol and they're like, "Ooh, a toy," and accidentally just shoot a hole in the wall. That's how I imagine like the Warhammer Fantasy Battle Albion people being like when they get a last gun.
Yeah. Well, Cathay looks different and it looks Chinese, but I mean, that's what else were you expecting?
To paraphrase the benevolent Dong Zhuo, I just want to say how, which means good. I'm psyched.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and I think we need to do like a lore special for when we know all of the factions that comes out. Yeah. That's for the future.
Well, we were actually just guessing before, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Now we have Cathay versus Sinch. We have Tsar Katarina Elsa versus Let It Go Korn. Niklas, who are Nurgle going to face? And Chris, who are Slaanesh going to face? And yes, this is just me saying it for any one of you guys, so I don't have to answer the damn question. Go!
Well, we could save it for later.
Aww.
Maybe it will be like a new campaign for the Empire and Britannia.
Yeah, or if they want to revisit some of the lesser known or lesser used factions there is. Maybe, yeah, it's hard to say.
It's good to have Chaos Against Humans because that's like...
Yeah. To be fair, I would have never have guessed that their second large faction reveal would be Cathay versus Sinch, so I'm probably the last one that should guess this. But as we've seen, all of this has been co-designed with the Warhammer Studios at Games Workshop.
Yeah,
I was hoping one of you could say Araby.
Yeah. It's weird that Araby... It's not really in Total War, right? You have the coast there, but you have like Knight Errants and Tomb Kings.
Yeah, that's all there is. But they could just change the map. They've done it before, or add to it.
Yeah. They could flesh out Estalia. That would be really cool if they were fighting Slaanesh or something.
I just reread the Warhammer community post, which says, with Grand Cathay looming in the Warhammer background for so long, and asterisk, scrolling down I read, since 1984, fact fans.
Oh, it's just a new party shoehorned in with no reason.
Yeah, I really love that they had to do that.
But they knew it was going to happen, right? They knew that someone's going to be like, oh, this is just made up shit. It doesn't have anything to do with the old world. And we're like, well, actually.
Yeah. Cathayan society follows the harmonious teachings of the Celestial Dragon Emperor and his equally powerful consort, the Moon Empress. They also happen to be two of the oldest beings alive. Yeah, we went into that. But there's a really lovely picture above that, which I'm looking at now, and that is pretty much floating islands with lovely pagoda buildings on top of them. I don't know the proper terms. I'm going to use the pagoda buildings.
No, you can say pagoda. It's an anglicized term for basically any sort of Southeast Asian construction that has several towers and a donjon on it.
Yeah, and there's lovely. There's a floating islands with bridges across them, and in the lower left corner they have Warhammer: The Old World and not Total War written on these design drawings.
Do you want to hear like some fun fact about these tranquility gardens you have in China with the bridges of water? Do you know why they aren't in a straight pattern? They're also like zigzagged.
Tell us, why is it fun?
Because there's a mythological monster in Chinese mythology called a Jiangshi, which is like a jumping vampire, and they can only run in straight lines when they move. So you have them like in concave lines, and you're safe from mythological beings. Because their existence is a lie unto Confucius and Taoism, so they can't move in straight lines, which would be telling the truth, so they destroy themselves.
To be fair, it makes as much sense as most ancient mythology.
Yeah. What do you mean earthquakes aren't the shiverings of Loki the Lie Smith? It makes perfect sense. He's obviously thrashing in pain as a snake drips poison into his face, Chris.
Yeah, we all know that thunder is just someone playing with a hammer or taking his goat's route for a spin.
Yeah, or one of the angry gods just letting loose gas. No, like, I'm super psyched. We talked about it before we started recording, but I feel like when they introduced the Vampire Coast, they sort of went from what is wider established canon and like the bigger teams, and I'm super excited about it. It feels like they've gone off the rails in a cool way, and now you don't really know what's around the corner. I'm going to be honest, I really hope they're going to do Araby, but I don't think it's probable because of a number of reasons. Some of them like real life. When we talk about the Middle East nowadays, it's not really the enchanted Orient in the same way that it used to be in the 80s. But also, I think it might be hard to do the Middle East with a lot of like the older Cathay stuff. No, the older Arabic stuff without being like offensive. And I mean, I'd love to see it though. Like jeans, bombs, carpets.
It is the best time to remake it and make it properly and make it respectful.
Yeah, that's true.
The tradition. So that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there's one faction that really needs to be in the Total War games. And that's the David Char.
Yeah, the Chaos Wars.
Yeah.
Well, they gotta be in it. Like, if they're doing Mountains of Morn.
But who would they be fighting, though?
But maybe they're making ogres as a proper faction instead of just mercenaries that they are now.
Yeah,
no,
fighting
but that's
ogres, fighting greenskin, like rebels, fighting the people of Pig Barter. Loads of shit there.
Yeah,
I actually know that fact. That's a fact, Chris, because they said in one of like the old live streams that they're releasing ogre tribes like as mercenaries for Total War Warhammer 2, like a free taste, because for Warhammer 3 they're going to become their own faction.
Yeah.
Well then, what they really should do is making Dogs of War a proper faction, or like making Estalia and Thalia proper factions instead of having reused Empire assets and having to use unlockers to play them.
Yeah, they should obviously have reused Medieval 2 factions. Just use it for Venice.
It's going to be really cool though, like between the Well Edge Mountains and Cathay. So it's going to be like a whole area of bad guys fighting against each other.
You could use the large hobgoblin horde as well.
Yeah.
Even if they're bad guys, they aren't bad guys.
No, they're bad ogres or bad orcs or. Yeah, but it is nice to see that they have reached the point where they can expand on small fluff burbs that's been in the lore forever but never expanded on before.
Yeah. Bring me kamikaze suicide bombers.
I'm trying to treat this entire subject respectfully, and you're like, no.
But on the other hand,
I'm not making it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not making it up, and that's probably the problem here, so to speak. Yeah. There are a lot of questionable things that's been in both the lore and in certain forms miniatures before, and
I mean, like the 80s was different. They made fun about like contemporary politics. Games Workshop was a very different, more younger, not juvenile, but a bit more of a rock star company where they took really, really broad turns and they made fun about everything. They made jokes about everything. Come on, one of the characters just taking the piss out of Margaret Thatcher. Another one is just basically taking Loki and spawning it out. It's Judge Dredd in space. Come on, they're drinking beers and dancing. But some of it really wouldn't fly today. And some of the jokes have, should we say, maybe not aged well in the public perception. As a person who actually has Middle Eastern descent, I wouldn't give a fuck. But then again, I'm not super tied into that identity. So maybe, I can't be an ambassador in that regard.
Yeah,
I would thought it would kind of be funny, and I would like to see something about the Middle East that is not A, wildly misrepresentative, or B, offensive. And I think having Araby would be nice.
Yeah.
Sorry if I went up on my soapbox.
Yeah, Araby would be cool. But I think it'll be a long way away, to be honest.
I think so too. But still, flying carpets, jeans, like the flying carpets used to drop like...
There's a lot of mythology to build on that could be, if it's done right, it could be really, really cool.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of deep stuff there. I mean, we stole a bunch from the Hellenists, but to be fair, they stole a bunch back. I think it'd be really fun, but we'll see. Like Niklas said, we'll see.
Jeans in particular would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Since everyone seemed to think they're just like genies out of Disney.
Just read like 1,000 and a Night. Those djinns will fuck you up, and they are assholes. I wish I was among gold. Djinn literally teleports you into a piece of gold.
I was gonna say, it's not that far away, the new Total War game as well. So we'll have Cathay pretty soon. It'll be a great thing to occupy Earth.
Yeah,
they postponed. It was supposed to be released this fall, but it's been postponed till early 2022.
Yeah.
I agree with Niklas. Like, it would be great to have something to distract me from the continuous degeneration of our world as it exists.
But it's I read a news article the other day, and we're fucked anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, we could turn it around, but the sad part is we won't.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. Just don't get distracted by all of these millionaires picking up defunct space programs and checking the validity of living out in lunar colonies. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, especially don't worry about Elon Musk sending other people into space to check if his spaceship is safe before going himself.
Well, at least he's not sending... Well, I was going to say at least he's not sending dogs, but...
No, he sent actual people instead.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, the NDAs and the release of legal responsibility for Elon Musk was very extensive. You don't have to worry about Elon Musk. He'll be fine.
And he didn't really want to go home anyway, right?
I'm just waiting for the first human sleeper ship. We put people to cryogenic sleeping and send them into space and see if they ever come back.
The worst part is there's probably one that's going to arrive in orbit next year, and we're just going to say, oh, yeah, we're from the previous civilization on this planet. We just sent a way around the universe to come back here and see if the planet has cleared up by now.
No, they just show up like, hey, y'all, turns out time is cyclical. So this is a bit awkward, but it's y'all are fucked.
It's like that meme when a NASA astronaut comes back and picks up a shotgun and goes back. And they say, oh, why are you going back? Space haunted. What? Space haunted. Brings a shotgun.
You just went to the moon. Yep, shit's haunted.
Yeah, moon's haunted, which is probably how this is going. Probably be fine, but let's not go into that early 20... Yeah, we might even have been able to play a game by then when the new is released.
Let's be realistic. Space conquest and the complete and utter collapse of civilization, yes. Us playing a game together, I don't know, Chris. You're kind of reaching there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I really like that Cathay is a mix of regular humans with a shield and a spear and massive walking statues and mages that can turn into dragons in the same faction.
Do you guys think we're going to get Thoats like ever?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they brought him back in Blackstone Fortress, so yeah.
Yeah,
do you think we're going to get
one
Fimir?
in Blood Bowl as well?
Yeah. Do you guys think we're going to get Fimir?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be an expansion with just Nurgle fighting Fimir.
What? Oh, you're putting my shame. Or are they
they're in Total War, right?
Yeah, I think they are in.
Aren't they? They're with Chaos.
Yeah.
Did they redo their lore, or are they still
I don't think they say anything about them.
I think they've strategically removed part of their lore that isn't really. Yeah.
That isn't necessarily tied to their identity, yet is a core component of this civilization.
Yeah.
If you have no idea what we're talking about, you can send a message. But if you know, you know. And that was always there.
But it hasn't always been there. There's been some forms of retcons, but still, it's not. Yeah, they really have to redo them if they want to re-release them, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, that's
There's
like
like four people. There are 4 people that are going to be upset about it, and we don't really care about those 4 people.
No, they all play 8th edition. No, but I mean, that's what the old myths were. The old myths are like, hey, why are people going missing? Turns out the horrible swamp-dwelling, one-eyed bird monsters took them to build a civilization.
Yeah,
I mean, back then though, like when they wrote that fluff, orcs did the same, I think.
Yeah.
So
no, Beastmen did, right?
Well, all of them did. It's like war.
Yeah, but there was a time where there were half orcs in Warhammer as well, but they're not there anymore because then the orcs were turned into fungi.
Yeah,
Are they fungi in fantasy though, or are they just?
No, not in fantasy, right?
Yeah, they. It's not totally clear, but they've both been and not been fungi.
Schrodinger's fungi.
Yeah. If you know, write in, and we might even read it. If you know if orcs are fungi or not.
Well, I got a question for you guys. I know that like the Fimir got rules in the Monsters Arcanum. They're like 2 different models. They never had rules before that, right? Like unreleased models rules, did they?
They had the rules in 3rd edition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had models as well.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. 3rd edition is cool. I would really like to try that.
I reckon they were like some kind of, I want to make a cool model project for a sculptor anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to an event where a guy who loves 3rd edition is, Niklas, so...
No, what, Freddie, he likes 4th edition.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I keep thinking 3rd. Just show up and tell him you want to play 3rd.
Let me just bring my dwarf sappers, and I'm gonna bridge this gap by building a bridge 2 inches a turn. Just some really funky rules in there. Really cool.
Actually, this Chimera is amphibious, which means I can go over this terrain here because it looks vaguely aquatic, and the rules say specifically vaguely aquatic terrain. So
that's not even obscure enough to be in 3rd edition.
And that would also be when your opponent says, "Why don't you just have it fly?"
But I mean, the literal phrasing of the rule of the Chimera, and I think like 3rd edition is vaguely aquatic. And I just love how something is vaguely aquatic. Like, how is that even a thing?
But that sounds like
there's dew in that grass.
You know, that's just when you're playing War Machine in certain early editions when you had to define a water feature if it was deep or shallow terrain, depending on how passable it was.
Oh, by the way, Chris, I'm sorry, but rest in peace, War Machine, I guess?
Nah, it's not dead, technically.
But not truly alive.
That which is not dead. That which does not live cannot die.
They are still supporting it with, some kind of scenario packs and stuff, but it is not the most supported game on the market at the moment.
We spoke with this before, right? I kind of miss the old War Machine community when they like reached out like, hey, do you have any mega nerds in your town? What? Do you have any mega nerds? Well, I mean, I guess I know this one dude, Bob. Okay, hey, Bob, you want to be an ambassador for us? Here's a bunch of free shit and a couple of t-shirts. Try and get people to play War Machine. Yeah, make some buzz.
They've killed they had a press ganger program and it's been called something else. They killed it like 2 or 3 times in total.
Yeah, I know, that's too bad because I really like that approach, like guerrilla marketing.
Games Workshop had the same kind of thing. They had the Outrider thing, right?
Yeah. They had one other iteration of it as well, I think.
I think as Games Workshop canceled it, Private Press picked it up because they were like, if we want to get market shares, we have to do something a bit different. And it was really smart for a while, but then they did the Games Workshop thing and killed all the online and offline support. But enough about that. This is not a War Machine podcast. This is obviously what we were talking about.
What's that game called again?
Yeah. No, I'm shitting you. Anyway, I have to log off. So if you guys want to talk about intelligent, serious things, feel free because I need to leave.
I think it's a good place to wrap up before we
I reckon
start rambling about the Mars expeditions.
Yeah, did you guys get your chosen electronic tickets for the lunar colony of mankind's best hope for survival? I'm really psyched.
I'm going to Antarctica.
Yeah, I got an NDA, so I can't say where I'm going.
Niklas is rooming up with Cthulhu.
But all I can say is that it's way better than the lunar colonies. The lunar colonies are just like the, like
it's gonna upload your consciousness into like a satellite.
We all know that we're all batteries in the Matrix anyway, right? We're just pretending to have free will.
How the hell are they gonna make a Matrix 4? Okay, sorry, different subject, different time.
See, this is where we're going. All right, I'm logging off too. Great chatting with you guys.
We'll see you in the next episode, and everyone, Have a good one.